think you should.
Welcome to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We're your hosts from Whānau, That Random Guy, and the audibly pleasing Harriet Skelly.
Yes.
Yes. Joining us for the first time since the second Doctor, Brian's.
Hello.
Hello. Brian's, it's been a long time. I'm really glad you're back, because I think there's going to be a lot of fun to be had with these couple of seasons going forward, especially with Donna Noble coming back.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I love me some Donna.
I love me some Donna too. So this week, we sure do. This week we're going to be covering, for part A, Smith and Smith and Jones. And for episode 2, we're going to be the Shakespeare Code. And for part B, we're going to be doing the new 8th Doctor season, Dark Eyes. The Great War. And finishing it off with our first ever monthly range story. Just pretend we haven't done spare parts in Jubilee. Sirens of Time. So
it is the first ever,
it is the
story.
Yeah, it's the first ever Doctor Who story they did as well. So
yeah,
there we go. Okay, so Brian's Smith and Jones, take us away.
We have a doctor, right, in his TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, we don't start off with that. It's pretty straight. We have some Indian woman, all right? She's walking down the street, all right?
What?
She's
Indian woman?
flip phone.
She's not Indian.
She's not Indian? Oh, man. I thought she
Indian
was
is not Indian.
What?
All right.
Did you see the rest of her family?
I feel like we should have cleared this up before we started.
Alright, okay. I got Indian vibes from her.
She's
but,
from Ghana. Her parents clearly look like they're from Ghana too. How did she get Indian? What?
I mean, for real though, she is just British. She's just...
Oh no, she in real life though, she is Ghanaian.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I thought her whole
Jones
family was like...
is just British.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
she was just adopted. Yeah. She just was adopted by this black family.
No, but they're all born bred in England. They've been there for like 3 generations. So
yeah, 3 generations, and then they just adopted an Indian girl. I'm so glad this happened.
All right. Okay. There is a young woman, and this is a time period.
There you go. Fixed.
Fixed. 1080p 4K. Fixed. The Blu-ray remaster of Whoscussion.
Just whitewash everything. That's all we need to do. Alright, and this is a time period in which flip cell phones are still being used. Okay?
I love how much you
that
hate
is
the
the main
idea.
thing to take away from it. Alright. So she gets accosted by this strange man, and he hands her a tie, and then he just walks away. Alright. So she
Spiky
heads
head
off.
man, by the way.
Yeah, spiky head man with a large trench coat. Kind of weird in that sense.
Hipster before hipsters with things.
Yeah, exactly. Hipsters are based on the 10th Doctor, didn't you know?
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the scarves and the crying. Yeah.
And the crying! Yes! And the crying.
Correct.
This is 100% accurate, do not steal.
Alright, so she works in a hospital. She is a resident doctor.
Yes.
Yep, and she's not a particularly good resident doctor.
First episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, the British version. Jimbo's Anatomy.
Take your pick. Yeah.
Dr. Grey.
Dr. Gray.
Alright, so then basically the rain starts going down and then up. It goes back up towards the sky for some reason. And then some space rhinos come in and steal the hospital that she's working at. Like,
Hell yes.
Hell yeah, space
not
rhinos.
just normal space rhinos. These are
They're
like
BDSM and space rhinos.
yeah, and they're police. So like they're right to steal it. Now, for some reason, they can't do this on Earth. Like what they need to do is
They have no
basically need to
jurisdiction.
They have no jurisdiction of Earth.
But the moon's perfectly fine. Like, the moon, like, totally outside of Earth's jurisdiction. Not
Well,
part
actually-
of its one of celestial bodies.
Actually, as part of the United Nations, it is actually legitimately like not owned by anybody.
Yeah,
Like,
I think by
they've-
galactic law though, because the moon isn't a level 5 planet, they're allowed to like go to it.
Yeah, it's another planetary body in close proximity. But even by Earth's own legal standards, the moon isn't in anyone's jurisdiction.
Yeah, but the Earth doesn't know
So-
Rhino. Okay, it can't speak Rhino.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if the Jadoon came to planet Earth and were like, "Hey, where's somewhere that we can like do this without like interrupting on anybody's feed or anything?" Earth would just be like, "Oh, just do it on the moon, or maybe Antarctica. Antarctica is probably easier, but moon."
Yeah, actually, Antarctica would be easier.
But,
Although
like,
Antarctica
if
is
you're gonna-
technically military based. Well, it's not military. It is owned by people, but it's it's not. You're not allowed to have weapons or anything on it, and that's kind of where they were going for. So
if you're going to teleport it, like, why not Mars? Why not just inside the spaceship? That thing was big enough to hold.
That
hold a
hospital,
hospital.
right? I
Oh, just like,
absolutely
you know,
Teleport it
agree.
in there, like,
or just
That's what's going
teleport
on.
all the people out into a place
Yeah.
instead of the
Yeah.
whole hospital.
yeah, exactly. But no. They needed to make a good grand entrance. Like, the moon.
We needed to waste the
Gotta
CG
be-
budget on something.
Yeah, exactly. Because this episode
Quality
was pretty
actors,
competently
Good writers.
Yeah,
No,
so, like we've
CG.
got all these great costumes, but we need to waste the CGI on something. So
Yeah.
hospital on the moon.
Oh, dude, the composite
Anyway.
shot with the hospital though is so
Oh.
bad.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was
Especially when it returns to Earth. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag spoilers. It returns to
Good
Earth.
yeah. Hey,
Hashtag spoilers
I'm
for something
telling the-
that's
I'm
like,
telling
what,
the-
like, how long ago was this now? Like
Don't
10
ruin the
years?
plot, Slumber. Alright, okay. Anyway, they're on the hunt for this plasmavore.
Oh my
Alright.
god, I'm so
Vampire.
glad you
Straw
said it that
vampire.
way. I'm so glad you said it that way. I hate the idea of the plasmavores. Doctor Who already has vampires. Just use them.
Straw
Yeah.
vampires.
Alrighty. But she has one hidden talent that no one ever talks about. She has got such a powerful set of lungs because she can suck the entire body of a man through and it's not even a big straw, like a small straw, like you know when you get a thick milkshake, like that is hard enough to get one through. Now this is a human body that she is just sucking through there, like with those sort of lungs, like she could just easily just like blow just blow everybody away, just
Like Superman
Like,
breath.
gust of air, something like that. Yeah, man, but no, she decides to suck people through a straw. That's her hidden talent.
I'm so happy when somebody applies logic to Russell T Davies' run. It's so great. Like you just have to put the brakes on the whole story because Russell doesn't understand science.
No, it really
Yeah,
isn't.
yeah. But if when you get those hi, I'm Plasmavore. My hidden talent is I can suck a Malteser through a straw, just like
I can blow ping pong balls out my mouth.
This is the best episode in years. Oh my god. Oh.
Anyway, she sucks some man. Yep,
Yes.
she
Through a
sucks
straw.
man through a straw. Through a straw. Yep. Through a straw.
Well, she drinks all of his blood.
Mm.
Yeah.
Unnecessary,
mate.
but it happens.
I'd say it'd be very difficult to distinguish blood from bodily.
Yeah, when you're able to suck that strong, you would imagine that
Yeah.
you would just start liquefying all of the organs.
Yeah.
But, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, so the average man has 5 liters of blood. So shouldn't she be
Yeah.
bloated?
you'd expect. She is absorbing
Mate.
it though, so she is assimilating that
Yeah.
material. So
Oh,
she's
I
probably
see.
like,
I can
probably the-
chug. I can chug a 2-liter bottle of milk, flavored milk. It has to be chocolate. By all means, I don't think 5 liters is too much of a stretch here. Boy, I didn't want to move after her, but she's an alien who can suck a lot through a straw. 5 liters? Yeah. Yep. Anyway, that makes her human by some advanced police robots. By the way, just smear some human blood on you, walk through it, you'll be perfectly fine if they ever scan you again. Alright, so the Jadoon are hunting her with some... here's their method of like distinguishing human from alien. They get it vivid on the end of their scanner, and they put an X on your hand. All right. So rather than her just like straight up sucking some men off up a straw, why did she just not get a vivid in one of the numerous like mini rooms? Drew it on there, go down to the first floor, and like she does at the end of the episode, I've already been scanned, and she waves her hand around like, like what do you expect? Yeah, that's their method. Look, like I'm saying, they're police, they're rhinos. I never said they were smart, okay? Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Rhino brains
right.
are significantly smaller than.
Yeah, exactly. And these guys have 2 horns, which just like, oh wait, rhinos do have 2 horns, ignore me.
Ignore me!
Anyway, the doctor dies by getting sucked by this
Yes.
plasma bore in the shape of an elderly lady. And she gets scanned and vaporized. Easy peasy. End of the story, you'd think, right? Nope. Doctor can't wake up. He needs to be saved by a doctor. And we have a resident doctor who knows that he has
He needs
two
CPR.
hearts.
He needs CPR for the fact that he's lost all of his blood.
Oh, right. I'm
Yes.
so glad somebody mentioned that. What?
Yes.
What?
Right? Now, the real thing is that she was blamed for incompetency. Martha, I think that's her name. Yep.
That's the name.
Because she
is the
had to
one.
check both hearts, right? But rather than be like straight to her, like the old man who was like, "Oh, you're so silly," she just was like, "I'm gonna hide the fact that he has 2 hearts
For no reason.
Yeah, I'd be like, "This dude has 2 hearts. What's going
Well,
on?"
okay.
And he'd be like,
Here's-
"What are you on
here's,
about? Are you that? Did you even pass medical school?" He would get it, and then
Here's
boom, doctor
here's a
would die.
tidbit though. Here's a tidbit of that. So the way that she was doing it. So the first time she was doing it through his clothes. One, so that would immediately be like a no. You've lost your residency here. That's not how you take heart.
Yeah, because it has to be on the skin.
Yeah, it has to be on the skin. But also the thing is that what you would hear, and if you were hearing from one side of the chest to the other, the 2 heartbeats from both sides, you'd hear a faint other beat. So you'd probably just think, oh, he's got like some sort of heart arrhythmia. You wouldn't move your thing to the other side. You wouldn't think that. You would just be like, there's something wrong with this guy's heart. Get him an MRI.
Yeah. Exactly. And then they would have like the 8th doctor it.
Yeah, they would have 8th doctored him.
Yeah. Like the double exposure.
Oh god, Fox.
Yeah, thanks, Fox. You ruined the X-Men and Doctor Who. You're great.
Oh, anyway, he is revived after blood loss with a good old CPR. There, all right. And then he magically unplugs a plug and stops a bomb that some space runners can figure out how to defuse.
They're like,
Not
Earth
so much
jurisdiction
little wire
completed.
in it. It was literally just plug it
unplug.
out, like,
Just
yeah,
unplug it. All she did to turn it on was plug in a thing. Just unplug that thing.
Yeah. Why didn't Martha just do it?
Exactly. No,
She was reading the
Let her
instruction manual earlier.
yeah. Like,
not for the MRI though. She was reading it.
Oh, for the X-ray. That's right.
now, just putting a bit of science behind this, like, and I'm probably wrong, and that's okay. Doesn't matter because everybody else is wrong in this.
I mean, this
story.
episode's pretty wrong.
But this thing is pumping out plasma, right? Now, as far as I'm aware, plasma lets off ozone. Ozone has got something to do with oxygen. Therefore, why the hell are they running out of oxygen? Like, I know there's a lot of people breathing, like, but clearly, like, Martha should have been fine. She should have been like, yeah, this is like an oxygen bar. Boop, boop, boop. You know? Like, no?
I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about plasma stuff, but basically what it was doing is just it was just arcing like a magnetron would. But even in the arcing that goes on that you see, like all of the metal and even some plastic seems to have arcing going along it all the time.
Yeah, bro.
That's not how magnetism works at all. So that's not pretty much not how it would work. But the real weird thing about it is that they I would imagine that in a hospital they would probably have some way of easily converting carbon dioxide to oxygen, so they don't have to, fuck around when it comes to that sort of stuff. And they probably have lots and lots and lots of oxygen containers, so they wouldn't have to like struggle around trying to find oxygen for people. They would have been able to keep people alive, or keep people oxygenated for a very long time, not nearly as the short amount of time that you see on screen.
I'm also going to blow your mind here. There are actually cubbies in hospitals that when you open them, there's oxygen masks in them.
Yeah, exactly. Because of any possible reason they could need them for. This is a hospital. This is not a place that you'd probably run out of air, like, at all. And they even show that on screen. They have people, like, with the gas containers, breathing oxygen. It's like, yeah, that's true. You should have a lot more of those. Like,
yeah, definitely,
so,
actually.
Yeah,
and even if it's, like, nitrous, then just pass it around,
Exactly. You'll still be able to breathe that. You'll still be able to breathe a nitrogen oxygen mix. It's not particularly hard. It would mean that later, after the fact, you would need probably some medical attention. But you're already in the hospital.
Yeah.
So
exactly. The best place for these people to be after this incident, freaking hospital.
Yeah, that's another thing that really gets me. Is as soon as they get back to the ground, there's ambulances and stuff coming in, and people are like filing out of the hospital. I'm like, they're already in the hospital. This is where they need to be.
Actually, yep. So, hey, like, let's just take them to another hospital.
They're suffering from oxygen depletion. Where should we take them? To the hospital. They're already in the hospital.
Yeah, we're going to take them to the hospital.
The bigger
Maybe
hospital.
a good drive in the country air will make them better. Like, let's just
need to
go
take
for
them
a
to the
tour
mega
around Southern Line.
Mega hospital. Tonight on Mega Hospital. Mega people get mega deoxidized. Mega hospital.
Yeah.
All night long on BBC Three.
Mega hospital.
Mega hospital.
The mix. Anyway, that's what happens in that episode. I was supposed to call it. Oh wait, no, I forgot. It explains why the Doctor took off his tie, simply to prove that he was a time traveler. Okay, but here's my logic. All right, imagine he wasn't a time traveler. He planted that in the beginning. Boom, haha! Like, take off my tie, rush to the hospital, get admitted, and then boom, it turns out that like TARDIS, the police box, really is quite cramped, and he just eats her or something. Like, there are other ways to prove that you are like a Time Lord. Like, just go to the next day and grab a newspaper from the day,
and then come back with it.
Like, here you go, like, rather than like, oh, remember that time I took off my tie? Yeah.
Instead of risking the space-time continuum by going back on your own timeline, you could have just shown her,
Oh, I hate when he says that nonchalantly. He's like, I can't interfere with events except for like silly tricks, and I was like, remember when you could have silly tricked Charlie?
No, he doesn't remember her at all.
Yeah, I know. I hate the
Well, simple tricked Lucy, or simple tricked his own great grandson.
Yeah.
Or
yeah. So it's yeah. So I'm gonna get Harriet Scully's thoughts, and I'll come back for Brian's, and then I'll wrap up before we move on to Shakespeare Code. So Harriet Scully.
Okay, so yeah, other than all the science problems that RTD is known for, because he just refuses to have a science advisor, basically, it's honestly not a terribly bad episode. Like, if you can look past the fact that most of the science is wrong, the character design is fantastic. The Jadoon are a fantastic.
Oh my god, I love the Jadoon
addition. Yeah, they're a fantastic addition to the pantheon of Doctor Who. There's so many fantastic elements that have been added as part of this when it comes to that sort of stuff. The slabs as well. Just, of course, obviously, whoever did a lot of the character design in this had a real leather fetish. Because the slabs, who are just like, biker people who are completely leather all the way through, and then the Jadoon outfit, which is like if you took rhinos, BDSM, and goth and put them all together, like that's what you got.
Yeah, and then took them to Rome. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. They've got like this, like they've got completely leather outfits. They've got the Roman like abdominal thing going on with that. But then they've got like the leather like boots and all that sort of stuff. It all culminates with like this leather strapped dress that was like chains and stuff hanging off the end of it. It's like that's straight out of a goth outfit. Like,
you know what? I
is
don't
this?
think it would be out of place if they had that emo fringe haircut. Like, they could pull it off really well.
Earth assimilated
like
English. I hate my
Scott
parents.
Pilgrim.
The rhino,
Yeah.
the rhino emos.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they
like
were.
the-
They
the-
chose a
the-
good period of time to set this up. But yeah, there's just a whole lot of good additions that I like. Martha Jones as a character, just her immediate build up as a character is absolutely fantastic, and it really goes to show that that Russell had kind of learned from Rose when it came down to it in the end.
I think Series 3
with
is
his
him
character.
learning from Series 1 and 2, definitely.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Which is another thing shown actually surprisingly well in the next episode as well is his development of the relationship that Martha Jones and the Doctor have, instead of just telling us that that's how it's supposed to be, So there's a lot of that going on here with even the terrible unnecessary kiss that they share.
I hate that so much, it ruins Martha.
Yeah, it really does
He just
ruin.
licked her.
Yeah,
Like,
the thing is
on the
that he
cheek.
could have just given her his coat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
all he needed to do was give her some DNA to like set it off, and just putting his coat on her would have been enough.
Or
And
like
also would've
swapping
been-
his cheek or something.
Yeah, it also would have been like a slightly romantic gesture enough that it's seen as platonic from him, and seen as kind of romantic from her, that it sets off the same relationship thing going on, but without the Doctor's like unnecessary like it meant nothing sort of deal, because he can legitimately say, I was just giving you my coat, it's not a big deal. Like, but a kiss makes it seem way more than that,
I was just Frenching you.
yeah, I was
It's
just
just
Frenching you
a-
for from genetic stuff. I could have just given you my coat, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate how like not Time Lord 10 is. I've always had a problem with 10. He's my least favorite Doctor. There, I said it, fangirls.
The thing is that like the real sad thing about it is Tennant himself is a fantastic Doctor.
Yeah, he's a
Like,
great
they
actor.
just keep giving. Yeah, and the thing is that when he's by himself, as we've seen, he's a fantastic Doctor. It's when you introduce these characters and tell him to do things that a Doctor wouldn't do, it doesn't work. So that's obviously the bigger problem here, but that's just Russell T in a nutshell, really. So there's no complaints other than that. That's pretty much the episode for me, anyway. I'm pretty sure I've got some other things to comment on it, but I'll let you guys continue, and then I'll probably like nudge in when I feel I need to.
Alrighty. Okay, well with that, Brian's your thoughts on Smith and Wenson? Smith and Jones?
I liked the episode. I loved the Jadoon. I thought they were an excellent thing. I wish we saw more of them. To be
So
honest,
do
you know those egg people? I've forgotten the ones with the holes in the back of the hair that you block like car exhaust. And
Oh, the Sontarans.
Sometimes.
That's what I think the Jadoon could easily like fit in with their hierarchy.
Oh yeah,
Easily, you
man.
could throw
I would love a
Jadoon
Jadoon
or
versus
something like
Sontaran story arc, like a two-parter.
That would be
Yeah,
cool,
or even
actually.
just them working together, because I think that'd just be, good.
Yeah, they are mercenaries, so it would make sense for them to kind of work together, maybe.
Yeah. Probably the most thing I found a little bit weird, and I thought this at the time, I think, this is post 9/11. There's some dudes in black walking around some hospitals, like helmets on. Like, you're not even allowed to wear a cap when you go in a hospital. Like, you gotta
Yeah,
take that
especially
shit
if
off.
you're like a courier, which is what their whole thing was supposed to be. They were meant to be like coming in as couriers. They would be asked to remove their helmets.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
and
would.
yeah. I
At the
don't
same
know,
time, Britain was a lot less terrified than America. So it's not like it wouldn't have been the first thought of anyone watching that's a case, but people in the hospital would probably be like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be allowed to do
Like
that.
you walk in with your helmet, you'd be
Guys,
immediately like, "Hey, no, take that off."
Yeah.
Yeah. The security guard at the front door would be like, "Can you please take off your helmet?" And as soon as they go around murdering people, it's like, covers blown. Good job, herbivore, plasmavore, whatever you are.
I just imagine it with a Diplodocus head.
Oh, yeah, but no, good episode. I find Martha's instant infatuation with the Doctor a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's a little bit tastes like maple syrup.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does taste like maple syrup.
yeah, she's already like, oh, I like him. Like the second she met him,
Yeah.
man,
When
you're
I
gonna
said
fall
Russ-
in love with a lot of weirdos if you're gonna keep working in a hospital. Like Jesus Christ, woman.
Yeah, when I said Russell
yeah.
T Davies has gotten better, I didn't mean he had gotten completely good.
Yeah, Russell doesn't seem to understand women very well, which is
No, he
interesting
really does not.
since his entire working career has been produced by women. So I don't know, I don't get it. He's really bad at representing women.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything else, Brian's, before I wrap us up?
No, I think that is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I echo what everybody else has said. I think it's a solid episode. It's a significantly superior introduction than the episode Rose was. And a character better than Rose.
It's just like a significantly better episode than the entirety of Rose's deal, really.
Yeah. It's. I mean, the only thing that I think Rose's run did better was episodes where Rose wasn't important, like Satan's Pit. So only 2 episodes. Only 2 episodes in their entire run. Martha, I like her family dynamic. I don't think it's as imposing as Rose's family dynamic is. Rose's family dynamic made the Doctor feel too domestic. And I don't think that really works for the character. I think that's why.
Well, if Jackie had actually been the companion, then it would have been okay.
Yeah, I would have preferred that much more. But with Martha having just that little bit of that family dynamic, her dad's also an idiot, which is a running theme with Russell. I don't know what he has against fathers. I suppose maybe him and his dad.
A bad father figure.
Yeah, but just not all fathers are evil.
Maybe
just throwing that out there.
Maybe the dad has to be that quirky, eccentric, also retarded, thing. Oh, dads are just supposed to be silly,
Yeah, and I'm just no. This is me putting my foot down. Now, Martha's father's girlfriend says this line that just irked me ever so much, where she goes, they were all drugged, it said so on the news. Now, the news was live broadcasting what was happening.
Yeah.
Did the TV drug everybody? What does she mean by that? You on live television saw a hospital disappear and reappear.
Yeah.
What?
Then they immediately tried to cover it up.
How?
So...
That doesn't make any sense. It's impossible. It was being live streamed.
Yeah, but they immediately tried to cover it up, and only a particular kind of person would have actually fallen for that.
And she is definitely that particular kind of person. And she's like, I totally think that's what happened. And I was like, look, alien spaceships have come to Earth, and you were completely invaded by Cybermen from a different universe. If you honestly believe that, So I literally don't understand how she thought that happened. And I was pretty dumbfounded. I know they wanted to come across as stupid, but even completely dim people would not have believed that they were all drugged because it was live streamed on the news and aliens have invaded before. In fact, in 1986, the Cybermen invaded, and that's confirmed canon.
Yeah, but the unit did a better job of hiding that one.
Yeah, because it'd be a lot easier because they just attacked Antarctica, so that would have been way easier to cover up. Oh, they attacked this place that no one knows exists.
Correct.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, and some old guy blew them up. Far out. Hey,
that old guy was pretty cool.
Hey, you rainbow-colored person, who blew up the Cybermen? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Martha's a stronger character. The kiss ruins her character immediately because the strength of her character is sort of maple syrup covered because of this kiss.
Correct.
If they had just been friends, it would have been so much better because they made her the rebound girl. And nobody wants to be the rebound girl to a terrible character. I would have
Oh my.
The thing is that even then, if you wanted to try and sell that as well, the thing is that it really undermines her character, the fact that it's instant, it's almost instantaneous. It being something less like that and being developed over time and then falling apart makes way more sense.
I would have loved that.
Exactly. That's why I'm talking about the the giving her his jacket instead, making it a less overt relationship thing, and then her like slowly developing it, and then realizing, oh, he's actually crazy and an alien. Probably not into that. That would have worked way better. I mean, the ending for her character does also work fantastically, and it is like a reflection on Rose as well at the same time. It's almost like Russell's like looking into a mirror suddenly, where he's just like, oh, yeah, this is not going to be a good relationship at all.
Yeah, because he's a freaking alien from a society that doesn't treat love the same way we do.
Yeah, especially because they're completely agender, really. So they really would not understand this at all.
Yeah, they'd be like, what? That's why, like, Susan works with David, because she was a kid that wasn't indoctrinated into her own society. So
exactly,
that fully works, whereas with the Doctor, it doesn't. So, yeah, especially
Can't
when,
they
like...
just have a companion that just doesn't want to fuck him? Like,
yeah, they called it Donna Noble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And that's why I said Jackie would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
because she also would not have. Or at least she might have initially, and then realized that she wouldn't have.
Yeah, especially her reactions to, like, his lifestyle. She's like, I don't agree with your life choices. And I'm just like, sweet, cool, Jackie would have been a great companion. But we didn't get that, Harriet Skelly. Instead, we got didn't. Rose Tyler. And Rose Tyler was like, I'm going to be fixed by Big Finish, by them diminishing my character's involvement in the story. So,
and actually, like, giving her some character development.
Yeah. And then making Jackie a companion in the first story. But crazy, right? Thanks, Big Finish. They like immediately were like, let's fix Rose the moment they got the license to use that character. I love it. The slabs, okay. A lot of the jokes kind of have aged pretty badly, because only someone that's like old and crusty like myself, like mummified, will realize that she's talking about the Zavirax ads from the 90s.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, and she says, where are they from, Planet Zavirax? And I laughed bitterly, because I know that it's funny, but like anyone younger than like our generation are not gonna get that joke at all. And I was like,
sorry, bro.
That's it.
I don't know it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. See, it was from an adverts in the 90s, Zavirax, and then it was like, you don't have to hide your face anymore, and then like a pretty model was underneath it, and it was like, that was the thing, is the reveal that you can get rid of coal sauce and still be beautiful. And I was like, oh yeah. So the beginning of the ad clearly shows a man, so does it also change your gender?
Yes, it also changes your gender.
That's awesome.
That's why that's Time Lord stuff. Come on.
Oh yeah, there we go. Aha, Tom Bear. And the Jadoon's animatronics are so good. Like this, the practical effects on the face. Oh my god, I love the Jadoon. I'm gonna plug my fanfic here again. Like I know it's kind of a broken record, but I had Jadoon companions because I love them. I love the Shadow Architect. I love their entire culture. I wish the Shadow Architect appeared in more than 2 stories. I love the Shadow Architect. I love the Jadoon. I like the Shadow Proclamation as an idea. Where like Gallifrey's gone, the Doctor's just like Shadow Proclamation, because my people who would have been are way higher in the hierarchy than they are. They're gone. So
because I killed them all.
Before
it was retcon.
Yeah, before it was retcon. Fear me. I've killed hundreds of Time Lords. Fear me. I killed all of them. Yeah!
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. It got retconned. Because somebody had hurt feelings. So dumb. Oh my god, I hate retconning. Especially like dumb retcons. But anyway, it's a fantastic introductory episode. I think I've been thinking about this for a while, and when people are like friends of mine who haven't watched Doctor Who are like, where should I start? I'm kind of thinking Martha might be a good introduction point.
Yeah, absolutely. Martha is a fantastic introduction point.
Yeah.
There's enough camp in there for it to like sort of only like to not completely influence you away from it, but get you prepared for the rest of it, basically. Like if you go and watch Martha and then go back and watch Rose, you're less likely to completely loathe the whole thing.
Yeah, because I gave somebody series 1 once, and I deleted the two farter and Boomtown. So I got rid of the two farter and Boomtown because they don't actually add to the narrative at all. Except for Harriet Jones, and I was just like, you don't even need to know who she is. Yes, we know who you are, and I gave them that, and I was like, sweet, they might be able to survive it. And they literally text me like, this dumb bitch has been asking where Wilson is for the past 5 minutes. I hate this show. And I was like, looks like the episode Rose was killed by Rose. Yeah! So, yeah, I think this is a better introduction point for people who haven't been into Doctor Who before. I like Martha as a character, and we haven't really said that much negative except for the Plasmavore. I think the villain really let the story down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's also all the sciencey stuff that lets it down, but that's just that's just part of the course in New Who, really, when it comes to science. But yeah, the Plasmavore doesn't make any sense because there are vampires in Doctor Who
and they're way
already,
cooler.
And the fact that the Time Lords are all gone would make fantastic sense for the vampires to come back and be a proper threat now. Like, they would have been a way better threat than the Daleks when it comes down to it. Because with all the Time Lords gone and the Doctor being the one that killed them all, it just would have been so ruthless for him to be like, oh, our greatest enemy's back now.
Oh, and I'm the only one who can fight them.
Yeah, the one that's even more devastating than the Daleks are back. Cool. Good job.
I've done a great job here.
Go team!
Go team! Well, with that, guys, we're going to jump into our second story for part A, the Shakespeare Code. Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah, I really wish it wasn't. So, it begins with a lute player trying to get his ins, and I really wish it didn't, because Doctor Who's still meant to be a family show. But he's straight up trying to get his ends. And when she's like, come in, young lute player, and he's like, yeah, giggity, giggity. And I was like, oh.
He was 100% like, I am going to display that.
Yeah. So he
well-proportioned woman.
Like, he walks in.
Show me some of the ankle.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, girl. Oh, a little bit of calf. Ooh, you dirty wench. So,
and then she was like, come give in between my thoughts, and he's like, oh, wait, really?
No, he's just like, no, not before marriage. I'm not going to hell. But he walks in. He walks in, and he's just like, yeah, giggity, goo. And she's like, makes out with him. And she pulls away, and she's like, "Oh, kissing you showed my true form." And I was like, "But later on in the episode, your true form doesn't look human. So what?" But she's like, "This is how you show my true form." She's like, "You should meet my parents before we get down to business." And she's like, "Mother Doomfinger, Mother Blood something, Mother Blood Tide."
And then he's all just like, "Ah, a threesome, sweet."
Yeah. He's like, "Sweet, let's do this." And I want to make a parody of this scene so bad, where he like just starts ripping his kid off, and the three are just looking at each other like, "You can you see us? Yeah, I'm keen. All right, I've never done a family before. Let's go." And then,
I've got a real thing for older women.
Yeah, I got a real thing for older women. And I just imagine they like pull out a tenner and give it to him and say, "Just catch the cab home, boy. Your mind's clearly adult." And they just like kick him out.
Happens? Are they going to be brothers and sisters, or uncles and nephews? Yeah.
So already this introduction has tainted the episode, because as far as I'm concerned, that guy survives that night. So
he has a good time.
He has a great time. Mother Doomfinger and Mother Bloodtide come onto him first. He's having a whale of a time, and then Lady Young One. She looks at the screen and she goes, "I'm breaking the fourth wall for no reason.
I should have been on Game of Thrones."
Yeah, exactly. I really wish she was. And so it goes, and then the Doctor and Martha are like land in the TARDIS in 1599, and the Doctor's all like, far out, somebody's having themselves a whale of a time. TARDIS scanner just showed me. And she's like, "Can I see too?" It's like, "No, it's a family show." So they go outside. Like, and then Martha's like, "We're in 1599. And the Doctor's like, "Oh, hey, yep." And then he says, "It's before the invention of the toilet." And then I had to pause for a while because the toilet was invented by the ancient Romans. So he's wrong.
Actually, it was invented, but by this time it was actually widely used in China already. So
yeah. So I don't know what.
Just because England just refused to use it because they are dirty bastards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the Dark Ages fault, all right?
No, they refused. They outright refused to use it.
They did. Even though, because like when they were building the Tower of London, the Dutch guy who built it was like, "I can build plumbing for the town." They're like, "That's a cool story, bro," but no. And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to go back to Holland now.
I'm going home.
Bye." I hope the Tower of London's moat doesn't break. And then it did. But, so the doctor's like, oh, it's not too different from your time. And then Martha's like, I'm black and it's $15.99. And the doctor's like, so? Yep. And I was like, yeah, no, doctor, you can't shrug this off because it's $15.99 and this is proper bad. And if you, doctor, if you remember in your first life, your companions were sold into slavery. There's a real thing that happened in your life.
Yeah, but he didn't care about those companions.
I was like, come on, just...
I'm just gonna say, I was low-key Indian. Like, I know it's still bad, but like, you're not black. But this makes way more sense now. So
I still don't understand. Like, did you not see her family, or the fact that when they introduced her character, they for no reason played black music over the top, and I was like, Russell, you're not very culturally friendly. And he was like, oh, I'm gay, it makes it all right. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't actually. You can still be prejudiced if you're gay. But he's Russell T Davies, so I'm so perplexed how you came to the conclusion that she was Indian when she was quite clearly black. So anyway, so that $15.99 line where he's like, I'm not even human, just walk around like you own the place. I was like, no, you'd get shanked and she'd get sold because she'd be worth heaps of money. But hey, you know what they could have done instead? Just not had this conversation, and it wouldn't have been so irksome for me.
Exactly. There was no necessary reason to have it at all.
Yeah,
like none.
Even though historically, he legitimately, those people would be thinking, "How do I make a quick buck? Holy shit! A gold mine just landed in front of me out of a blue box." But hey, they're walking around, and then the doctor's like, "Oh, see, water cooler talk," and I was like, "Oh, I see. You're trying to make it like contemporary. It's $15.99. This is not contemporary. England still didn't use knives and forks yet, so
yeah.
So hey, there's that.
They dumped literal shit into the street.
Yeah, and they're like, why do we keep getting diseases?
Yeah, how come we all have E. coli?
Yeah, why are we constantly dying?
Why was it so hard for us to get rid of the bubonic plague?
Gee, I wonder. And I love how, this is a great historical moment for me. One of, my favorite things about the bubonic plague, and this is, favorite in a, really sort of grotesque sort of way, is they started blaming the Jewish community. Yeah. The reason the Jewish community weren't getting it is because they are, by religion, very clean. And that's why they weren't getting it. They're like, you must be doing devil stuff, and they're like, no, our religion
it's actually clean people.
Yeah, it's our religion. And they're like, nah. Yeah, exactly. So man, there's so much they could have done in $15.99 that would have been awesome, but they didn't. They did this episode instead. So they go to the Globe Theatre because the doctor's like, hey, David Tennant's in Shakespeare at the moment. Let's be topical. And they're like, now I need to interject here. Murray Gold's soundtrack this season is incredible. Martha's theme is just a work of art. I love the way that he made some of the Doctor Who themes play on lutes. They're so much of the music in this episode is very lute based, and I was like, "That's fucking genius, Murray Gold." And Murray's like, "I actually learned my lessons from the first 2 seasons, guys. Sorry about that." And they go off to the Globe, and let the rest of everybody, because Gareth Roberts is like, "I wrote this episode and don't know what I'm talking about." Now, for anybody who is familiar with Shakespeare's work, whether you be a literary buff or a film buff or an acting buff just in general, you'd know that
someone who took third form English.
Yeah, exactly. Someone who just took simple English in New Zealand, you would know of the iambic pentameter. Now, if you're going to make a fake Shakespeare play, you need to know how to write that, and Gareth Roberts doesn't, and it's really, really, really infuriating. Because he keeps talking constantly about Shakespeare's work, and I'm like, but you don't understand the iambic pentameter, so the story doesn't work at all. But hey, who am I? I'm just some asshole on a podcast. But so they go to the Globe, and they're like, and the doctor's like, oh man, I can't wait to hear Shakespeare talk. And I'm like, but you've heard him talk before. It's been referenced heaps. It's been referenced a lot.
Times.
You helped him write Hamlet.
Literally, you were present at his. You were present in his childhood.
Yeah.
You actually had a hell of a lot of interaction with Shakespeare. And that's probably why he knows you from the future. Because as soon as you say you're the Doctor, he's probably like, I know you.
Yeah, I know you. You got a different face, but I know you. So I don't know why 10 is all like, I don't know. I mean, we can explain it away using Harriet Skelly's favourite reason. Harriet Skelly, why doesn't you Who Doctors, why do they not know anything?
I don't know. I give a lot of reasons for this.
Yeah. My favourite one is 8.
Yeah, it's just 8. It's because he got so much brain damage that he just can't remember anything anymore.
Yeah, you just blame Orbis, and that's the reason he can't remember Shakespeare. So
I mean, it's not even just Orbis. There's a whole lot of times where he just loses his memory.
Like when he forgot Charlie died.
Exactly. So Big Finish gave Russell T a fantastic out there just to say that 8 just lost all of his memories. So he just completely forgot everything that happened.
Yeah, he forgot John.
And that's why he also. Yes, he did. That's why he doesn't. That's why he also doesn't understand a whole lot of other actual real life things, basically. So, there you go.
There we go. Cool. So that's the reason. He's like, I can't wait to hear Shakespeare talk. And Martha's like, even I know you've spoken to him before, and I'm Martha. And they're like, and she comes out, and then Shakespeare's like, I act completely differently to all my other interactions in the Doctor Who universe. And like, and then the Confidential was like, with Shakespeare not being in Doctor Who before, we really had a liberty to write him the way we wanted to. And I was like, am I even listening to the right show right now? Because he's made him a lot. The Fourth Doctor even says, I made William Shakespeare, and Confidential plays the clip where he says that. It's so good.
Confidential is so ruthless.
Confidential, I love watching Confidential, man. It's so good. He's like, yes, I remember helping William finish Hamlet, and I was just like, oh my god, you guys get it. You get how wrong they are. That's probably why he got cancelled. So the Doctor's like, oh hey, let's go hang out with Shakespeare.
Continuity fixing after the fact.
Yeah, after the fact. And so they go to the pub, and Shakespeare's like, oh, please, you can't have yourself sketched with me, and you can't have my autograph. And I'm like, no, don't contemporary in 1599. It's meant to be a historical show as well. Yeah. Why did the Romans do time travel so much better? I miss you, First Doctor. And the First Doctor's like, I'm long since dead, mate. I can't help you. And I'm just sad. Yeah.
And then just wait till I come back.
Yeah. Oh, no! I'm gonna be sexist for no reason. I
love.
Oh no!
They get historical inaccuracy to a whole new level.
Yeah, when we don't even know it. Yeah,
they historically inaccurate their own show.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Especially one episode earlier, the
really
Doctor's.
Old. This series is really old. Therefore, he must be racist.
Yeah, he must be a racist and sexist. And I'm like, no, that's not true. It's not true. Especially the episode before, the Doctor's like, Time Lords don't care about gender. And then the very next episode, he's like, hey,
he's a sexist.
I was a sexist for no reason. Oh, cool. And then when you try to talk about it online, new Whovians who've not watched it before are like, you're so wrong. The First Doctor was sexist. I know, because my granddad told me. And he clearly isn't wrong. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, they're at the pub, and they're like, hey, what's happening? And the Doctor's like, hey, that play you just said you were going to write. Oh, that's right. The Carrionites brainwashed him to say he's going to write into the play. And he was like, oh, yeah, I haven't written the script yet. I'm going to get it. I'm going to pump it out in a day. And I was like, I can tell you right now that Shakespeare never, ever did that.
I imagine that he probably had already written most of it.
Yeah.
Considering what it sounds like.
Yeah, he said that he only had the end complete.
Oh, yeah, right. Did he? Oh, I clearly dejected myself from the story. So there's that.
Don't worry. I don't even know. I still don't know why they need to do it.
Yeah.
They need to do it that day. Like, why does it need to be done in a day, not a week?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't they? Yeah, if they knew they wanted this done, why didn't they start influencing him ages ago so that they're ready? Yeah. That's pretty bad planning.
Yeah, they didn't even talk about like some sort of like celestial reason for it either.
Like, yeah, that was like it just needs to be tomorrow.
Yeah. They didn't say anything about like stars aligning or like the particular day of the year or anything. Like
Gareth Roberts doesn't know witchcraft.
Yeah. No, they don't know witchcraft at all.
I've got dinner in the oven back home, and really need to get it out, so it has to be tomorrow.
Yeah, it has to be tomorrow. And so the sensory board fella turns up, and this fella is based on a real life person who didn't die at this time. He died quite old. But anyway, the sensory board guy turns up and he's like, "Hey, I'm the sensory board guy." And Shakespeare's like, "Well, it's not ready." And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna ban it." And then he leaves. And then he bumps into the carrier knight. And then he's all like, "Hey, remember how this is meant to be a family show? I'm totally implying I'm coming back to pork you later." And then he leaves. And I was like, look how much of a family show Doctor Who is. And and then as he's walking away, she's all like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna kill him quite publicly instead of just waiting for him to go home."
I'm gonna use a magic that is completely unrelated to Wiccanism.
Yeah. Why is she using voodooism? Voodooism is from a completely different part of the world.
Okay.
What?
Can I also bring something up here as well? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know how she drowns him already, by dunking him in a bucket of water. Like, why even bother going back to your home planet if you can make water by just dunking a stick in a bucket, right? you set up some like, I don't know, some quasi humans, I don't know, whatever the hell, buy some slaves, it's that time period. Just dunk them in like a bath of like liquid salt or liquid something. I don't know, it's like a value. And then he just starts throwing it up and you're like, yes, collect all this gold. And
just make him.
Why do you want to go back home if you have this magical power that produces resources on the fly and you can rule over its entire planet?
Yeah, that's an immediate fault when it comes to adding magic to anything. Is that if you've got magic, then you can basically fix any problem you have. So there's no real point. And that's another reason that that's the addition that J.K. Rowling basically made is if your enemies are magic and you've got magic, then that's your conflict there, is you've got two people with magic facing off each other, so it makes it work. But the thing is that the Doctor does have magic, so it does kind of work, but he doesn't have the full deal. And really, why do they need a fantastic wordsmith to bring back the planet when they are the ones who add the words that make it work?
They wrote the spell. Why didn't they just say it themselves?
Exactly. Why didn't they just say it? Why didn't they just do it? They've mind controlled somebody into making this place that they need to make the spell go off. So what was the point? Why did you need William for this at all?
Why do you even need to go home if you have?
Yeah, why couldn't you just bring your powers? Yeah, why couldn't you just make a new planet for you to live on?
Just magic a planet up. It's so annoying. That's why, the Silver Nemesis handled magic way better. Chiefly because the Seventh Doctor is scary. He's really frightening. And just him plus magic equals wiping out the gods. But hey, we've got the Eighth Doctor to blame for that. He's the reason the Doctor can't remember how to fight magic for some reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so he
does remember magic. He does remember the power of names and all that sort of stuff. So he does remember parts of it. But at the same time, he doesn't remember enough of the magic, clearly, to use it effectively. But at the same time, he also seems to shrug it off as a not being a real thing, even though he literally says, it's a real thing. But in the real in the end of it, it's basically stated that the idea is that you need these special words to complete it, which is something that shows up earlier in the Seventh Doctor as well. As she needed to use a words in a place to be able to achieve the effect that she wanted.
Yeah, to do time travel and stuff.
Yeah. So obviously it's the same magic application, but then basically if that is the true nature of things, you can do that. Then why did you need to create another race to have that be a thing? Why couldn't you have just made real human witches?
Yeah, right. Considering that the Doctor actually fought against one who had a living statue.
Yeah, exactly.
A whip. So, oh my god, could you imagine they brought the Nemesis back for the story instead of doing the Carrier Knights?
Nemesis would have been intense.
It would have been so cool.
I mean, obviously the Nemesis was used as the moment at this point in history.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot it hadn't been retconned yet. I'm so sorry. the nemesis hadn't been retconned yet. So so the Doctor and Martha, they see this guy, they find out that this guy died. Like, hey, what's this all about? He drowned in dry land, and the Doctor's like, hey, and the Doctor gets up and does the very thing he just told Martha not to do. He speaks in Elizabethan English.
Yeah.
And he just told Martha not to do that because the TARDIS is translating what they're saying. So why did he do it then? It doesn't make... You just told someone 2 minutes ago on screen, not a deleted scene, an actual scene in the episode, said that that's what the case was. So I don't know why he talks to her forsooth and all that crap. And I'm just like, what? But you just explained the TARDIS is translating Elizabethan English into contemporary English. What are you doing, Gareth Roberts? And Gareth Roberts was just like, I'm just really stoned with Russell T Davies right now. And they're like, maple syrup. And the Doctor's like, hey, we need to go to bed now and we need to figure out stuff in the morning. And they hop onto the bed. And then Martha's like, hey, I'm pretty keen to pork you right now. And I'm like, far. I remember when Doctor Who was a family show. I'm glad to see it still is. And
boy, he was like one finger away from like full blown like 12th base, like whatever
12th base.
Like she was 13th like, I will do anything. Like you've got those UFO alien probes, like
exactly. You got the Hitachi alien probes. You know how it is.
I'm not from Mars.
yeah, I'm not from Mars. That's so good. But yeah, so they're fully about to pork, and then they just don't. And I was like, I love how scenes like that are in the family show, and and then they're like, and I've got a golden ticket, and then the Doctor's like, hey, William. Oh no, they get woken up in the middle of the night because the hot lady dies, and then the Doctor walks in. And he's like, what happened to the hot lady? And he's all like, I don't know, I was asleep. And Martha goes, Doctor, I just saw literally a witch fly away past the moon. And the Doctor's like, oh, let's go investigate stuff. So anyway, they're like all investigating. The Doctor's like, hey, I want to find out who made, let's go to the globe and look at stuff. And then Martha goes, what about the architect? And then the Doctor's like, the architect! And the player's the thing or whatever. And then he runs off to the architect. And the architect's like, I'm crazy. And the Doctor's like, I'm going to use contact on you. And I thought it was a pretty nice use of contact. Yeah. This is a better use of contact than when he fully, like, grabbed that child awkwardly in the series 2. This is a better use of contact than that. So he's like, contacts him and he's like, hey, look, I need you to have a listen moment for me.
It's still actually a really brutal way. He basically forces him into repressing those memories.
Yeah.
So that he can view them in a repressed state. So if he had survived that, he probably would have been like a relatively stable human being, but he would have had serious triggers when it came to like witches and stuff. And considering the era that he was in, as soon as he like went to see anything anywhere, they would have immediately like caused him to go into a panic attack. So Doctor was kind of doing it in a good way, like when it comes to the fact that he was gonna die at the end of it. But realistically, it wouldn't have been good for him later.
No. It's still dark, but I think like when the Doctor uses contact on like non-Gallifreyans, I think it's always pretty brutal, to be honest.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, he's like literally overpowering their mind.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Like in Battlefield, where that guy runs up to the Doctor, so he just blows his brain up and turns him into a vegetable with contact. Like, he doesn't even like second guess himself. He just walks up to that guy, goes contact, liquefies his brain, and continues walking. And I was like, dude, that was a living person. What is wrong with you? And then he looks at the camera directly at me and said, I'm the 7th Doctor, bitch. John Cena. And so the architects are like, oh, this is what happened. I got brainwashed and stuff. And then the witch turns up and she's all like, I'm the witch. And then William Shakespeare delivers some freaking Eve Miles acting. He goes, I'm seeing a witch. And I was like, that's convincing, bro. A little bit of that season 1 Eve Miles right there. And then the Doctor goes, power in the name. And he's like, think, 14 sides. Of course, I name you Carrier Knight. And she's like, how did you come to that conclusion? And then I'm sitting there like, that's dumb. And I'm like, hang on a second, if he's not met them before, where does Big Finish's Sixth Doctor story fit with the Carrier Knights? I've not listened to it.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think that's what I'm saying, is that he has met them before. That's the point. That's why he knows their name as well, is because he has met them before.
He's like, hey, it happened ages ago in a way more brutal life, but it happened. And she's like, then why did you need an incarnation to fight the war? And he's like, that hasn't been written yet. Oh, I'm defeated. And then the lady's like, how did he know our name? And then the young one's like, it doesn't even matter. We're going to forget about that plot point in the next 20 minutes anyway. And then the doctor's
even
like...
even though it would have been a really interesting thing to explore.
Yeah. And then the doctor's like, hey, William, what was on the last page? He's like, I can't remember. The doctor's like, I don't know why it didn't stop you from sending the playoff to your friends before right now. This is on me.
Really should.
And then they go off to the globe and they're like, and I've got a golden ticket. Sorry, just that song that plays throughout this episode just makes me think of the golden ticket song the whole time. Every single time it played, I was like, and I've got a golden ticket. Please don't sue me, Warner Brothers. And so they go off and they're like, and they go to play and they're like, oh no, it's already started. Because the people said these words in a way that doesn't fit the iambic pentameter, because Gareth Roberts doesn't know what it is.
And if their magic is based on words and not mathematics, why does it have numbers in it?
Yeah, I know. That was so weird. That was so weird.
It doesn't need coordinates if it's based on places.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. So they run off and they're like, and the doctor's like, stop, golden ticket holders. And they're like, we've already won. And the doctor's like, damn it, I need William Shakespeare to say a reversal code. And I was like thinking to myself, why didn't the Carrier Knights kill William Shakespeare? And so he's like, guys, I've got the golden ticket. You've got the touch. And then he you've got the power. And then he pulls the Matrix of Leadership out of Optimus Prime and puts it up above his head. And it sends yeah. And then says Expelliarmus. And it puts the Carrier Knights in this orb. And then 10 looks at the orb like the 7th Doctor. And that's the coolest scene with the 10th Doctor until we do the specials. And and then he's like, hey, that's that. And William Shakespeare is all like hitting on Martha this whole episode. Now, before people say stuff like, hey, isn't he a white dude in 1599? Read the play Othello and then realize that Shakespeare was pretty anti-racism.
And possibly even gay.
Yeah. So there's that. And they're like, and then she's like, hey, you actually got a stink mouth. And he's like, it's 1599, baby.
He's like, he's straight up Austin Powers. Like, I know I got bad teeth.
Yeah. No. I love it in Austin Powers too when he looks in the rear vision mirror and it cracks when it shows his teeth. I love that. Like your teeth are so stank they crack glass. That's awesome. But he's and she's like, nah, that's dumb. And the doctor's like, hey, Russell T Davies science. And then Shakespeare says, ha 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 ha, you're from Gallifrey and she's in it and she's from the future. And the doctor's like, oh, that's amazing, you're such a genius.
How do you know that? Because I've met you many times before.
Yeah, remember that time remember in a couple of years you're going to help me write Hamlet as Tom Baker? And then it's like, I
can't remember that.
Yeah, he's like, yep, I remember, I may vaguely remember that. And then he's like, I'm Shakespeare. And then Queen Elizabeth turns up and they're like, hey, the Queen's here. And I'm like, yeah, she actually appeared really early in his career and is kind of responsible for the globe being built. So this is historically inaccurate. And then she walks in and she's like, I'm the wrong age for this time period. Off with your head. And the doctor's like, oh no, Floyd needs to stop watching this with a historical mindset. And then he's like, because I've got a golden ticket. Look, Charlie, it's yours. I got a golden twinkle in my eye. And then him and Martha, they're running away. And they jump into the golden... They jump into the Honka Vonka Donka Donka, which is the Wonka mobile spelled backwards. And they jump inside it, and then an arrow goes into the wall. And the doctor doesn't know why Queen Elizabeth I hates him. And I was like, man, I really hope Russell doesn't write it that she doesn't like you because you took her virginity. Because this is a family show.
That would be illegal.
And then It's the end of the
But then also
episode.
Moffat does that as well. But
Yeah,
anyway,
no, but Moffat has to do it because it was canified by Russell.
yeah, but you know what else he was canified by Russell? The fact that 8 fought the war.
Yeah, that's a good
So he
point.
could have changed that.
Yeah, I agree. I really wish I really wish the 50th was just about like them coming to terms with what 8 did, but nah.
Yeah.
I guess you could say they had hurt feelings. So, Harriet Skelly, your thoughts on the Shakespeare Code?
Yeah, it was an episode, really.
You don't say.
Yeah, I mean the Doctor does some pretty, Doctor things properly, but there's just a whole lot of this that doesn't work. Like the magic. No, just there's better ways of handling magic, and we know that there is because it's happened before in Doctor Who.
Oh, has it?
So
I don't know what
dumb
you're
that
talking
they did
about.
it. It's so dumb that they don't think it does. It's so stupid. There's not even without saying the fact that the magic that they've gone for and the kind of stuff that they've given the Carrionites is completely misleading in so many ways. It's taken the witch iconography from like the Halloween witchy things, and the thing is that is a terrible representation of Wicca, and it's
because that visage is propaganda, right? Where we get that look from.
It is. It's propaganda. It's terrible. It's not. It's not a good representation in any sort of the way. And when it really comes down to it, the actual witches, the ones that were burned by the witch burnings, were just people. Just human women.
They sure were.
Who didn't in any way look like this, and who were generally just healers or just people that they just wanted to kill because Dark Ages people, they're kind of like that. So
I really wish it stopped in the Dark Ages.
Yeah, it really would have been cool if it stopped in the Dark Ages,
but it didn't.
So yeah, it really didn't. So it's really mystifying as to why they didn't just have real witches be there. They've had them before, and it's not even just that 7th Doctor episode. There was a literal demon episode that the 3rd Doctor was in.
Oh yeah, with that white witch. Yeah,
exactly.
And the witches with the good guys in it as well.
Exactly. So it's really dumb.
I love the demons.
Yeah, exactly. So all that stuff is really annoying. And also with Shakespeare and the witches doesn't work. He wrote about witches. He never in any case would be assumed to think that it wouldn't be fair to think that he'd actually had an experience with them the way that he wrote them.
Yeah.
Because
they were treated as the Greek chorus in Macbeth.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that also the King James era witches were completely different as well. Again, so it doesn't work. This whole element there, and having normal regular people figure out witchy magic, and some of them turn evil and have no alien element whatsoever, would have been a fantastic way of blending the historical element with this pseudoscience-y element that Russell T Davies goes for. So why didn't we get that?
You know why?
Well, never. Yeah, I know.
Russell T Davies.
So yeah, it's otherwise Martha's a good character. I like the fact that Shakespeare and Martha have this relationship as well.
Hey,
it is actually
nonny.
kind of amusing. Yeah, obviously it's not fantastic for a family setting, but it's still interesting as character stuff. And it reminded me of the elements that Amy Pond also has, where she's getting hit on by random people all over the place. But it's just me. So I don't know. Just skip this episode.
Yeah, it doesn't offer anything to the overall narrative except for the Queen Elizabeth part, which I just
even then
pretend is not canon.
Exactly, the Queen Elizabeth thing doesn't really make sense anyway. When it really comes down to it, because she's before Victoria, so never mind. That doesn't actually make sense. So I'm getting my royals mixed up. But no, it doesn't make sense when it really comes down to it, because the Doctor having a relationship with Elizabeth I doesn't make sense again. So
Elizabeth was pretty anti that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Have a look at that thing called the Spanish Armada versus the British.
Yeah. but also just just actually go and look at the actual history about Elizabeth, and you realize that really doesn't make sense as well. Like just the whole thing, you just need to actually look at it, like not just go on like this, not just go based on rumors and stuff about her, all those other movies about her virginity and all that sort of stuff. Actually look at the history, because that's what Doctor Who is. It is a historical thing. It is not.
Is it?
With general facts rather than just going on other, popular beliefs. That's generally how it's supposed to go.
That's why I'm really looking forward to Series 11, because we're getting pure historicals next season.
Yeah.
And I'm really
Yes.
excited.
I think we all are here.
Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I say this out of the podcast. I'm going to say it in. Like, they can't they can't screw around anymore. Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Because if they do, Doctor Who's dead. Like, Peter Capaldi's run was struggling, and it annoys me because Peter was a fantastic actor who was given worse scripts than Eccleston. Just ponder that. He had worse scripts than Eccleston, and he had to do 3 seasons. Like,
remember Wood Lady?
oh, don't even talk about Wood Lady. Just shut up about Wood Lady.
Hey, remember that other Wood? Remember that other Wood Lady in the house? Oh man.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
You weren't even talking about the Forest of Cheam. You were talking about the other Wood Lady.
Oh no, I think he was talking about. I thought he was talking about the Christmas special with the Wood King and the Wood Queen.
Oh, the Wood King and Queen. Oh my God, there's many terrible wood people.
But no, you are talking about the house, right?
Yes, the house.
That should have been.
People.
I know we already said this in Whoscussion, but that should have been, right? Evil David Suchet with an evil house. Not some crying kid and his mum.
Amazing. It should have been amazing.
It should have been amazing.
Sometimes you don't
There's
need.
so many things that should have been.
Sometimes you just don't need a bit of humility in your monsters. Maybe you just want them to be monsters.
Oh my God, right? Because oh man, that's why I was really worried that Russell and Steven were going to handle that Guardian, because I didn't want either of them to get their hands on a monster that's actually just... you cannot level with the guy because he is by birth evil.
He is the embodiment of chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have any other reason for being other than to create that thing. So him trying to add anything additional to his character is unnecessary and wrong.
Just make him scary.
Yeah.
Like Toby Jones as the Dream Lord. Oh my God, Toby Jones as the Dream Lord. So
hell
good.
yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, I can't wait to watch that episode again. But any other thoughts before I wrap up part A? Anybody got any more thoughts?
It wasn't bad. It was not good. It was just a forgettable episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
yeah, it was. Yeah, don't watch it.
yeah,
but
if you wanted to cut, I think it was 45 minutes and 37 seconds, something like that. If you wanted to cut that out of your life, by all means, just skip this episode because it doesn't actually provide anything to the story.
No,
it really doesn't.
I feel like someone should just go along, just crossing off entire episodes that just aren't needed. If you want some Doctor Who Kai,
yeah,
just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, remove the Two-Farter and Boomtown from Series 1. And from Series 2, remove Idiot's Lantern, Fear Her, and Love and Monsters. And from Series 3, the Professor Lazarus episode. And I want to remove the Dalek Two-Parter, but it's too integral to the canon. But the Dalek Two-Parter is awful.
Just cut bits and pieces out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Do a Kai edit of that. And from Series 4, the Wasp episode.
Yes.
The Wasp episode. I don't.
The version of that season I gave you doesn't have the Wasp episode. That's why you don't remember it.
Fair enough.
I already Dragon Ball Kai'd the new Who for you when I gave it to you.
I love that.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I agree with the sentiments that everybody has given. It's completely forgettable. It's superfluous. It ruins the Doctor's narrative as well in terms of William Shakespeare. The Doctors met Elizabeth as well. Like, what?
Yeah, he should have.
The third Doctor mentions being in the court of Queen Elizabeth. So, like, what? I just don't know.
The thing is that, all the Doctors have had other experiences with the Royals, so it's so weird. I mean, I guess, like, the thing is that
the face?
human characters and faces can be related as well. So you can say that, like, she particularly hates this version of the Doctor, which is also fair as well. That, like, because the Doctor changes so much, you could easily not like one version of the Doctor over another as a human person.
I'm looking forward to Science of Time on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, I'm talking like that we never really had that as explored, which is really sad. I really wish that we would at some point explore how companions can actually have a different relationship with different versions of the Doctor. And
I think Perry in a way had that.
Yeah, Perry kind of did, but I
because
feel like
6 is so unbelievably different to 5.
So much different.
But I feel like I can give a prime example. Clara.
But that's but that's dumb. That is a dumb way.
Yeah,
that is a dumb example.
Don't do it.
It's just a good example.
No, it's really not.
Let's make sure that you're okay. Like,
because it was still playing on like that Rose dynamic where it's like she was in love with him and then he changed.
Oh, why was she in love with him?
Exactly, and also the whole thing is like
love him. I don't think
she did. That's why they have the episode The Caretaker where the Doctor thinks that her boyfriend is that guy that looks like Matt Smith.
Yeah. And then the thing is that makes even less sense because she literally went and saw his other war face, the one that had killed his entire race, and she was okay with that one. But also the fact that she's been inside of his time stream, so she's met all the other ones as well. So there is no reason for her to just like 12 in any shape or form. But the whole point that I'm trying to get at here is that there's no like real example of him changing. So other than Perry, there's no long term, because Perry pretty much disappears after that as well. That whole trial of the Time Lords because of the cancellation. But I mean, like, I'm talking about like a long term, like goes from like a full season of having a full character arc with the Doctor, and then having another full character arc with another version of the Doctor in a completely different fashion, and like actually have their relationship change because of this in a whole different way. There's a lot to be desired there, really, when it comes down to it.
I think you're right, actually. I think because like the only full season characters would be Polly and Ben, and their relationship with 1 is kind of the same as their relationship with 2.
Exactly, because 1 and 2 don't drastically change in the same way. They have obviously there is a difference to them, but it's not the relationship that they have with the companion is not drastically changed. So I'm talking like exactly the same way in Perry goes, where she's dealing with 5, who is actually a nice person, and then dealing with 6, who is not a nice person.
And I love how 6 knows it as well. It's so good.
He absolutely does. Having that, but in a newer setting with a more complex line of thinking would be fantastic. I don't know how we got onto this conversation, but
it's because it's way better.
It is a way better thing to talk about. But yeah, that's just my thinking, so that sort of stuff. But part A, that was a ride.
I'm glad we're leaving positive for the first time in ages, though.
It's because Martha is just a fantastic companion when it comes to it, and it just gets better when it comes to RTD. That's the surprising thing, is that he actually got better over his run, and it's really sad that basically like he suddenly got fantastic with those specials, and then nah. Like, it's like
and then full retcon,
which is saying something, and then Moffat comes in, does fantastically, and then just gets worse. It's like a bell curve.
The bell curve of New Who. That's so good. Like, Classic Who had season 24, and that was about all the negative things I can say about Classic Who.
Yeah.
Because season 24 was not great. They were like, hey Mel, do you want to be a completely separate character? No? Too bad, kiddo. Brian, you wanted to interject there earlier. What did you want to say, mate, before we wrap up?
No, perfectly fine. I wouldn't say that she's fantastic. I'd say she's okay. Good.
She's miles better than.
She's significantly better than Rose.
Yes. Well, you're comparing like shit to a bruised apple, mate. Like, you'd be like, oh my god, this apple baby. But like, when you have an actual amazing, like, you know, the amazing companion, then you're like, fuck, why would I eat this bruised apple?
Okay, let me compare her then to a classic companion, and I honestly think that she's better than Mel, honestly, because Mel kind of grated on me a lot. But not even
season 24 Mel.
Not even. I think it's not even season 24 Mel. Like original Mel, I think I still prefer Martha over her. So she's.
If you were to put on a gradient, where would you put her on?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of companions, so
I know.
Let's just put her on better than Mel.
Yeah, exactly. If we can
70%, 7 out of 10.
I'd say she's even better than Dodo.
Yeah.
No. Really?
Oh, then again, Dodo was good actually.
Yeah.
Because Dodo was sort of a replacement character. So.
Yeah, and then she like left so unceremoniously.
She did. So yeah, that's kind of how Martha sort of ends up really as a replacement for Rose. So it's kind of saying something for her character.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, when she gets like cock blocked, when he's like, I wonder what Rose would do at the beginning of that bed scene.
Why does he even think that?
Like,
Rose wasn't smart.
I know.
Martha's literally a medical student.
She's actually a medical student.
I'm just like, what? When he said that, I was like, Russell, do you even know your own character? Rose was a pillock.
No,
yeah.
he doesn't understand.
She literally was living in like the city, like that was her life. I don't even think she had a job, did she?
She did. Emphasis on the did, and then she just became.
What did she do? I felt like she was just like.
She was a store clerk.
Oh, I love when the android goes, so unemployed then. And I was like, yeah. I think we're gonna have to wrap up part A here because I think we're just gonna get into why Classic Who was better, and we could be here forever.
We do that every week.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like because Brian's was with us for a large portion of Classic Who, he's got a wide breadth of like reference points, and I'm just we're gonna get stuck if we don't wrap it up, guys.
Alrighty, boys, I gotta go. I'll catch you up. Okay.
All right, cool. Well, catch you later, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us. Perfect timing, and we'll catch everybody in part B. See you then.